Welcome back to RC Dirt Oval, the podcast. I'm your host, Andy Zeller. Today, I'm joined by Rowdy Hefner, and we're going to go over what it's like to race the big cars versus the little RC cars right when we get back. All right. Today's episode, like I said, we're going to go over RC car racing and big car racing and some similarities, differences, and I got an awesome guest to talk about it, Rowdy Hefner. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I can't complain. It's cold as crap out now. Winter has officially rolled in on us, but we're in the heat of the indoor racing season now. Have you gotten out any indoor racing yet?
A couple races, yeah. Pretty much a shakedown at the factory and another race, a weeknight race after that.
And you're running Motorama this year in late model and sprint car?
Yep.
Heck yeah, man. You excited?
Oh, yeah. The last time I ran it was 2020, and that was probably with 5 or 6 races under my belt in loose dirt, so I'm psyched to go this year.
Ready to rock and roll. Show them what's up.
Yep.
Awesome. So, like I said, today's episode, we're going to kind of talk about RC car dirt oval racing versus big car dirt oval racing. You've done both, so you're a perfect example, somebody to come in and you've raced the same type of car now on both, sprint car. So you started out in which, RC racing or big car racing?
RC racing. I started when I was 8 years old and been running it pretty fluently ever since.
Okay, awesome. And you picked up big car racing then during that time.
Yep.
After you started RC racing. When did you start big car racing?
I started big car racing in 2018. I ran 300s in the PA Micro Midgets.
Okay.
And 2 years in them, and then 2020 picked up 305 sprint car racing.
There you go. And now he's in a freaking video game in the World of Outlaw. Did you check if you're in the 25?
Yeah.
You are?
Yep.
Oh, that's sick. That's awesome, man. Yeah, the 2024 World of Outlaws game for what, PS4, Xbox, PC, Switch even.
Yep.
Also the 2025 version that came out, I guess, or was it 23 and 24? I guess 23 and 24.
23 and 24, yeah.
But yeah, Rowdy's in both of them. So if you check out the 305 division in either of those games, you can race as this fine gentleman right here. So that's pretty sweet. I bet is that cool? Like, is
very cool. Just to be on a friggin' game.
Right, man. I told Archer
any of the
about
public can buy and, see who all's in it. It's
right.
It's different.
Yep. And the car that you had for a 305, I don't think I ever saw your micro midget, so I don't know what that design looked like. But obviously, with this car here, that's your current RC car. You kind of had like the similar number and kind of design for your big car as well.
Yeah.
What about the micro midget? What did that look like?
It was pretty much the same as the 305, just kind of carried over.
Sweet, just without a wing.
Yep.
There you go. Awesome. So you started out RC racing. What type of RC racing did you first get into?
Street stocks.
Okay.
It was, I forget what it wasn't the new SR10s. It was like a actual bug. It was almost like what we had for Mud Boss.
Okay.
So it was like an off-road car that was converted into an oval car with, you could use PVC piping for like your spacers and stuff on the shocks.
That's crazy.
Oh, it was great. That was awesome. The time to be RC racing for sure.
Right. The prime.
Yep.
Sweet. So you started out with that, and then I know you ran like foam tire for a while. That was probably like the majority of the time you've been RC racing was on that?
Yeah. I think I picked up loose dirt racing in 2019 or very early 2020.
So right after you started racing big cars, switched over to loose dirt. Cool.
Yep.
So what made you get into big car racing after starting the RC cars stuff?
So we became friends with this one group that went racing and been friends with him for a while. He eventually let me drive his RC car, and we just kind of ran as a team and everything. He asked like where I wanted to go with life, and I was saying I want to run big cars. So a couple years pass, and then we eventually decided on a micro just to kind of get my feet wet with, because I never ran anything before that. And yeah, a couple years in that, and then went 305 racing for a little while.
Awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. I would think that it could work both directions. Like somebody that starts out RC racing and is racing these particular cars, you know, I could see the interest evolving to like, oh, especially when you go watch racing. I think even there are some people, I would say not a lot, but some people that race RC sprint cars or any of, you know, street stocks or late models and haven't seen the big car versions of those in person. You know, there's plenty of places to find, you know, clips and stuff like that of racing, but to actually go to a local track and see the action firsthand is, I mean, that's what got me into racing to begin with, were, you know, dirt oval cars. And I was at Lincoln in diapers, you know, and I could see the interest in big car racing coming from like I RC race and race RC cars, and I'm racing a sprint car, and though I've never seen the big car version of it, once you do, I could see like, you know, oh man, like I'd love to try that then. So there are similarities and there are differences from a driver's perspective. What would you say some of the similarities would be between RC car racing and the big car version?
To a degree, driving style. Your looser, more crummy tracks per se, you would kind of feather the throttle with these. Pretty much as you would the big car, possibly depending on the surface, but for the most part, you kind of drive them the same. Tires is another thing. You run a harder tire on a harder surface, it'll last longer than a soft one, and vice versa. Setup wise, it's a little different, being that it's independent suspension versus solid axles and stuff,
right.
But it kind of works in unison. I mean, the biggest thing would probably be the similarity would honestly be your shocks. It's a little different between the two, but I mean, your springs on these work almost the same as the torsion bar on a big one.
Right. Right. And I know with RC racing, a lot of sprint car, you know, especially in the micros, like a lot of our rear end changes were stagger changes, as well as like moving your wheels in and out.
Yep.
And that's obviously not something we're able to really do in this necessarily the same way, but
Right.
you still can kind of create the same effects in doing other changes, like where the angle of your shock, for example, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that hits a lot of the similarities on the head. What would you say the primary differences are between the two? Obviously your point of view.
Yeah.
That'd be one.
Honestly, probably the diffs. Just because, I mean, it's a solid axle in the big cars, differential in these, that would be one of the biggest things. Definitely like your gearing and everything. And rear steer as well. You don't
Right.
get to have that in the big car.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely something unique to the RC side of it. I know when we talked about this before too, you had mentioned that the wings are very similar.
Yep.
When
Almost
you're-
identical.
Right. That's something that's probably the most comparable between the two.
Right.
And it's something I think personally I look past a lot when I'm racing. I'm so used to just immediately going to the shocks and, you know, turning up or turning down on the springs, and I could do or achieve the same thing with the wing. And I think we were talking about bringing you back for another episode that's specifically on the wing
Right.
and how to utilize that. But another similarity I would say that maybe gets overlooked a lot is the sponsorship opportunities.
Definitely.
So you're
Yeah.
another good person to talk to about that. Whereas you've had a couple sponsorships in the RC side of it. And I'm sure some of that stuff can carry over the same way in a big car.
Oh yeah.
Let's go over your sponsorship agreements. Like, what do you currently have going on?
Being a sponsored driver for Custom Works,
Very cool.
and I have a deal with Victory Fuel as well.
Awesome. How did you come into those two deals?
Honestly, reaching out for both.
Right.
It worked out with Custom Works because Rob had known me and my family since I've been racing and just been really close with my mom and dad. And once I started coming around to the RC side, he saw me and, kind of saw what we were doing and liked it.
Saw the potential.
Yeah, saw the
there,
potential and
for sure.
yeah.
And for those that wouldn't know what that kind of sponsorship would involve, like typically what can somebody expect from like any sort of sponsorship deal like that when it comes to like RC car racing?
For RC stuff, honestly, probably discounts for one.
Right.
If they have any products you can use on your car or, just use in general. That's another thing. Setup tips and stuff
Right.
like that if it's like a team.
Certainly the knowledge. I remember
Yep.
this past summer for the Dream Race, you were telling me about you're excited to just tent under
Yep.
with other Custom Works drivers from, different places and getting to pick their brain and stuff like that. I think that's certainly an important advantage of any type of sponsorship or group arrangement. I talked to Preston on this podcast before and like just how having a racing group is beneficial that way, that you just get to kind of talk those things over and bounce ideas off more than just yourself or your,
Yep.
your buddy that you're pitting with.
Yep. Yeah, because when you're doing it all on your own, going to the races, pitting by yourself, you tend to look over a lot of things that, should be like your first go-tos. But when you're with a group, it's a lot easier to catch it since you have multiple people running with different setups. You can catch a lot more stuff and kind of bounce, like you said, bounce those ideas off of each other and, just try something and figure
Right.
out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, if everybody's throwing a dart at the same board, you
One
got a
of them's
better
gonna
chance.
hit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with Victory Fuel, I know you and Landon both had affiliate programs with them. So something where I've used both of your codes. I'm pretty sure my subscription is up on one of you guys's. But, with Victory Fuel, that's something where, you're able to offer a discount to other people
Yep.
as an affiliate program that you then get like some sort of kickback and tell people how they could use, your code to
Right.
utilize that.
Yeah. And it's free for anybody. You can use the code Rowdy10 at checkout and get yourself a discount on it, 10%.
Sweet. Yeah, and I love Victory Fuel. I would totally represent them as well. It's a great product.
It's a good group to be involved with too. The
Awesome.
Swindells, love them.
Yeah, great people. I have carried it at the track and stuff too to try and help promote it that way as well. Small business, and they're not Pepsi or Coke, and it's better for you.
A lot better for you, and it's like a sports drink, and it's just a lot less additives than Gatorade and your main sports drinks.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely for those that don't know what Victory Fuel is, you can certainly check it out. Victory Fuel, drinkvictory.com actually. But it's a flavored water with electrolytes. They have 3 flavors currently.
No dyes either, so it doesn't stain your teeth.
Right. It's
That's a plus.
yeah. They grape, throttle punch, and lemon are the 3 flavors that they offer. I love throttle punch. I mean, Archer loves it too. We drink the crap out of it. So you can set up a subscription where they'll send you a case every month or 2 cases, whatever you want. And you can use Rowdy's discount code on that. So go check it out. give them a taste, we're just giving a free plug here. I'm in no way affiliated with Victory Fuel, but you know, it's that same stuff, that same mentality that I think I considered it more when I raced big cars. To give a backstory, I actually had sponsors buy my micro sprint for me.
Right.
My first micro sprint that I had, I basically drew up a plan that had artwork and stuff like that and presented it to a couple people that I knew that were, you know, in businesses. And I cold called a couple of them as well. And I basically, I spent my own money, but I also had them help me purchase the car. I raised basically enough money to buy the car, and then I had, you know, my money that I invested in as well to help cover some other things, because any type of racing is expensive. So to be able to find these sponsors and stuff like that, I think is crucial for some people, and certainly, you know, something that as a driver, if you're really interested in either side of racing, it's something that you can totally work towards, you know, trying to arrange for yourself as well. So if somebody was looking to try and find a sponsor in RC racing, what would you recommend them do? Like, what do you think is important, and what kind of criteria would these sponsors look for, and how do you think they would try to acquire something like that?
Honestly, the main thing would be to keep your cool. Just, you know, you have a frustrating night, just maintain. Don't, you know, go off the stand, throw your radio, throw the car. Just keep it all together and just try and the main thing is just have fun.
Right. Be a good representative.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That would probably be the main thing. You can ask, like, you know, a couple people on ways to get faster. That's another way to kind of show out over the field.
Right. Yeah, because if everybody out there goes and talks to the same sponsors, there's only so many people involved in it.
Right.
You know, you're not going to better your chances.
Yeah.
When you're, you know, you're not performing well.
Yep.
So,
and another thing too, you can follow a series. That would definitely be beneficial. Run a series, try and do as well as you can.
Bigger races, like
bigger races. Yep. That's definitely a way to make yourself visible to the bigger corporations like Custom Works or GFRP. You know, just main things like that. And then you have your branches like different like 3D printed parts or stuff
Papa
like that.
Willies,
Yep,
like
Papa
tire
Willies.
traction
Yep,
stuff.
Accessory type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all good points, good info there. And I think, you know, when it comes to the big cars, I think one of the main considerations that I've gathered from me racing, from talking to other racers, excuse me, is that with the big cars, everybody, I think, assumes, like, for Rowdy's car here, he has Victory Fuel on the side. It's, you know, oh, that's gonna give the sponsor, you know, visual representation, and you're gonna display, you know, their brand on your car when you race. And I think sometimes we forget about the sponsor's perspective of it. And, like, yes, that's always, even in big cars, like, that's always a great thing. But I feel like that's the go-to reason people think that they're going to get sponsored. Like, right. I'm going to get sponsored because I'm going to do this. And that's where the things you're talking about, like your representation, like how you conduct yourself, you know, your perception in the community of people that you're working with is super important, as well as, you know, representing their brand. But in today's day and age, you know, there's so many other ways that you can add additional value to yourself and to your platform, your driving team,
right,
and your racing program by thinking outside the box. You know, one thing that business owners, you know, need a lot of is content. So if you're willing to provide your sponsor with content that they're able to use or content that you're referencing their brand in significantly.
Yep.
That's another way of trying to help. And that's something you're really good at. Like every race you're at, you take really good pictures of your car displayed. You shout out your sponsors. That's certainly, I think, something that's beneficial to the sponsors as well. So the reason I, ramble on about all that stuff is that our listeners, if somebody's like, I want to get a sponsor, try to be different, try to get your mind turning in a way that you can provide something different for your sponsor. Like you said, by winning, by presenting yourself professionally, by thinking of other ways and ideas that you can give back to the sponsor. I think that's super important.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that same stuff will carry into the big cars too.
Oh
So.
yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I think we hit on a lot of this stuff pretty good. I don't know if you had anything else.
Not that I know of.
I feel like we hit it pretty good. Sweet. Where can people find you or reach out if they have questions or anything like that?
I'm on Facebook, Rowdy Hefner, and also Instagram. Pretty sure you can type my name in and still find it that way. I know the usernames are different, but Facebook and Instagram, and local to Central PA, so tracks around that area. And
you'll see them around for sure.
Yep.
Awesome. Any plans to get into the big car anytime soon? What's going on with that?
Not too sure.
Just in limbo right now.
Yeah, kind of had complications with my car owner's work and everything. Can't get out of work to work on the car, so we're kind of at a halt. But
right. It happens. It happens in everything, man. I haven't touched my RC cars here in probably about a month.
It's very easy to get. Yeah, it's very easy to get held back and unmotivated. Yep.
Takes a lot of dedication to it. So for sure. Well, thank you so much, Rowdy, for joining. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching. We're going to try and use this episode as kind of a segue into how I think we should present the podcast from now on. Basically, less of a focused on Central PA, more on a bigger spectrum of more generic topics so that everybody everywhere can follow along with the podcast and get something out of it. Like I said, we'll have you back and we'll do an episode on maybe wings and like really dialing into that. Same with the late model, like the spoilers and stuff like that, and how that body handles different on a fairly similar, car. So, thank you so much to everybody again out there for your support. Stay with me. I know it's been, rough here a couple of weeks. We're trying to work out, a bunch of stuff. I shot an episode with Rowdy a week ago and couldn't release it because I turned the gate the wrong direction and it cut like most of his audio out. So I can see, I've been checking, make sure the audio is going the whole time, and I think we're good on this one. So we'll get this out tomorrow. Some weekend racing here in Central PA. I believe Pheasantland Factory RC has the Christmas Nationals. It's a big trophy race on Saturday. They have practice Friday night. So check all that stuff out. And we'll be back next week. I think next week I'm going to try and shoot an episode with Landon maybe for how to get into RC dirt oval racing. And we'll do just an introductory episode like that. But thank you again. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And thanks a lot, Rowdy. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Till next time. Thank you, guys.